Welcome back to Starfish Coaching. I'm Eric Lee. Today, for my Founder Success interview series, I have the honor of chatting with Samantha Pinksen. She is an interior designer from Calgary who found some huge success very early on in her career. And it's been 10 years and she still doesn't have a website. Amazing. So I want to share her story with you right now. Okay, well, thank you, Samantha, for coming on to my podcast and my show.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, we had a great conversation last time, and I thought it'd be great to have you on board and just share with our listeners your journey through your interior design career, because it's not the typical, and it's unique also because you come from the commercial side, and there's huge value there, and it's so different than the residential side. So I'd love to spend 15 minutes just sharing some knowledge, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. Okay, if you don't mind just starting off, just telling a bit about yourself and your business so our audience can understand.
Yeah, well, I'm an interior designer based out of Calgary, Alberta. I've been in business 10 years this Sunday. It's actually, yeah, it'll be a decade. And I've been in the industry for 14. I went to design school in Toronto, but I'm from Newfoundland originally. And yeah, my business started in I didn't plan on starting a business. I was working for a decorator for about a year and I just wasn't happy there. So I quit. And next thing, I was just like bartending and serving, figuring out what I was going to do next. And a huge project landed in my lap. I should backtrack. I started my career working for a commercial construction company. So the first design project I ever did at a school was a 5,000 square foot salon and day spa. And I had no idea what I was doing, but because I worked for a construction company, it was so beneficial. I got to sit down with my boss and who was a contractor and say, I want curved walls here and I want these floating drywall ceilings and how do we suspend them? I had no idea. And it was funny, certain things you'd be like, you just draw it however you want. We're not going to build it that way anyway. So he's like, it'll look like you want it to, but it's not, we're not going to build. And that was such a great, it was a great introduction to the industry because I think I learned way more there than I ever would have learned in interior design or architectural office. I learned budgets, project management, and why there is a lot of friction between designers, architects, and contractors. I understand that because I was working for the contractor. Lack of information is a major issue in this industry, and butting heads, egos. So yeah, after I did that for 3 years, worked for a decorator for a year, quit, and then my boss from the construction company randomly got in touch with me and said he had a client from years ago. They're the largest timeshare in North America. And they are doing a massive renovation because all of the poly B plumbing needed to be torn out of every building. Wow. They have 14 buildings. And I was like, no, I don't know. I might not be into design. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. And then he contacted me again. He's like, I introduced him to an architect. He didn't like him. I think you should meet this guy. And I asked who the architect was. He told me, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't like that guy either. I know. I'm like, okay, I'll meet them. I was 26 and I had a Gmail account. I did not have a business, and I got the project. The overall budget for the construction was either, this is a huge discrepancy, but I can't remember. It was 25 million or 36 million, one or the other. But either, it was huge. And I remember a couple of designers I knew were like, you're crazy. What do you, but I'm like, well, I'll figure it out. And yeah, and then before I knew it, I was doing the math and I was like, okay, I can survive just with this one client. I mean, this project ended up spanning 7 years. It was supposed to span 4, but they went to court for 2. So yeah, it ended up taking 7 years to complete and ended up getting cut in half because they sold half the resort to a hotel franchise. But it definitely was not a traditional start for a business. And then before I knew it, I just kept getting more referrals from to that commercial construction company I had originally started my career with, and another company. Actually, yeah, I first moved to Calgary. I worked at a bar waiting to get my first real job, and the guys who owned that bar ended up starting a commercial construction company.
Wow.
And they were giving me referrals as well. And they also expanded their, they moved into a new location there. It's a bar live music venue. And so I guess it was like 7 years after being in Calgary. And my very first job at that bar, I got to design their new venue, which was
That's
really
great.
cool. So yeah, that's kind of how it
That's
started.
that's a great story. And you know what I love about your story is it's not the typical story of a designer, right? Like how people get into industry. You managed to somehow get these things just dropped into your lap. And I'm going to say that very lightly because I
It was
believe,
true.
yeah, it seems like that. But I think there's something about you or something that you did along the way that just happened. Because personally, I don't believe in luck. I think there's something that was created. Although you seemingly kind of didn't want the work, they came to you. I'm not sure if you've thought about it over the years, but what is it that kind of seemed to have these things happen for you? Can you share?
I think people like working with me.
Hmm.
I'm easy to work with, but I'm also firm. So I'm not afraid to have hard conversations.
Great.
But I don't take anything personally. So I think, Terry, my old boss who gave me that opportunity to
Mhm.
meet with that company, the timeshare, I had worked for him for 3 years, I believe it was, and we worked well together. And I guess he saw what I was capable of. He never would. I mean, it was his reputation on the line too to even put me in a room
Right.
with this guy.
Right.
So I think he knew I was capable of it, of doing the work. And then I think the same thing with the guys that own the Blind Bagger. I had worked for them for not very long, just like a few months. Um, but yeah, I think it's all about relationship building and
Yes.
and gaining. We gain trust, and the deeper those relationships go. And yeah, I really think that that's mostly what it comes down to. And also like believing. I mean, I've also always been an entrepreneur, just didn't really realize it. Like from the time I was a little kid, I
Right.
grew up in rural Newfoundland. Like I'm talking less than 100 people in my community. And so
Right.
obviously there was no like after school jobs. I was like, okay, I'm going to sell Avon to old ladies because that's all that there is. And I was like selling magazines and newspapers. Like I was just always trying to figure out how to make a buck. And even in design school, like I remember thinking, I didn't really think about owning my own business. But I did think about like how I wanted my career to go. And I mean, it didn't go that way at all. Um, I'm also just always open to possibility. I think that is another big thing is
Right.
I'm always open. Um, like I'm always willing to change and go with the flow. And I really enjoy challenges too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you dropped 3 great tips there, and I want to summarize for our audience, especially the aspiring designers, because it's so crucial. When you're first starting out, although your design skills are maybe good, but you don't get the chance to show it, right? Unless you have that soft skill, that personality, where people like to work with you. And I think that's kind of the first thing you said is there's that confidence. Well, actually, that's the second point is bringing in the confidence, but that personality, that soft skill, how to work with someone, how to manage them, that's important because that left a lingering reminder, and therefore people kept on referring you. So I think that was the number one thing. And then you also mentioned confidence, which is important because a lot of people, when they first start out without a first job, they're like self-doubt, they're like insecure and all that stuff. But sometimes you just can't show that, and you got to show that you're confident in doing what you're doing, which is something that you did, right? And the third thing you mentioned was just that sense of the entrepreneurialism, and just going for it, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big risk taker. But it's, I don't know if it's good or bad. It just kind of comes naturally. I don't always think about the consequences because if you do, then you're not going to do it. You're not going to do the thing you want to do. And I think like it's confidence, but also leaving your ego at the door.
That's a good point.
Is something that I think can be actually like really prevalent in this industry and a lot of industries, but ego is a major issue, especially in today's age, like with social media, and everybody wants to be this like influencer and social media star, and it's just bullshit, really. I mean, like I was telling you, I don't even have a website. I haven't had a website in 7 years, which I'm changing, but and not to say that there isn't value in that, and social media is an amazing tool, but I think a lot of times the work and what we're really doing gets put to the wayside. It's so important to check your ego, because those contractors and trades on site, those are the ones that are going to save your ass if you screw up. And if that relationship is strong, then the project's going to run so much smoother. And yeah, I think that's like one of the biggest tips I could give people is confidence, but also check your ego.
Yeah, no, that's so important. And you know what's interesting about your journey is that you actually managed to learn a lot of things that typical designers don't learn until their fifth year of their career. For instance, you had the chance to deal with contractors on site. I think that's an aspect of design that we don't get exposed to. And I always believe that the more exposed you are with construction, the better you are as a designer.
100%. Because it was practicality and being rational. Like, so often I've heard contractors tell me that things designers design, it's not practical. You can't build it. Or you could build it, but like for astronomical prices. And then you're not managing clients' expectations. You're just not doing your job well. Like, it's easy to design all these amazing things, but the skills are budget and like actually managing expectations, knowing what is practical and reality, like what can we actually do here. And then when you're aware of budget and you have these restraints that you have to work within, it actually feeds creativity because you have to get creative with materials and ways you're using them, which I love that challenge. And it's just a better use of funds. Who doesn't want to spend money better,
Yeah, no, exactly. So for the aspiring designers and even just for established designers that don't go to construction site, what tip would you give to them to kind of build that relationship stronger with the site and the design team?
If there's a contractor already engaged, like for the project, one of my first steps is sitting down with that contractor and working together, developing a budget and allowances so I can design and specify within those allowances, and even play with the numbers. Like, I just need to know how much we should be spending on tile altogether, how much millwork should be altogether to make the numbers all work. And then I can play with them. So it's just building the team and communicating right from the get-go. But there's so much you can learn. There's a lot that contractors can learn from us. There's a lot that we can learn from contractors and trades. And then that goes for all designers, but for anybody coming fresh out of school, I think working for a design build company would be my first step. I think that is such a smart move, because then you can stay there for a couple of years and then move to a firm if you wanted to, but you're going to be bringing very valuable skills with you from a design build perspective that a lot of people if you're moving to a big design firm or architectural firm, a lot of people in that firm might never have those skills, even though they've been in the industry for 15 years. So I think that, that would be super valuable. And that would, if your goal is to move up the ladder, I think that as a starting point, working for, design build, I think would be ideal, because I'm getting the best of both worlds. That would 100% be my advice to any designer coming out of school.
Right. No, that's a great tip. So, it's 10 years almost, which is amazing. Congratulations, by the way. And without a website, it's like, wow.
It's kind of ridiculous, but yes.
Yeah, so you did something, right? And it's only, I think now looking back, that you can see, oh, right, okay, it's the confidence, it's the checking in the ego, it's all of that stuff. But when you first started, you probably didn't know that. What would you say is the most important thing that you wish you learned when you first start your business?
Oh my God, there are so many things I wish I had learned. It's still something that really I should have got a mentor. I still don't have a mentor. And to delegate, you don't need to do it all yourself. To just surround yourself with people who know what they're doing and are better at doing the thing than you are, that you don't even really want to do anyways. Like, we don't need to wear all these hats, and it can be really scary, especially for starting out, but it just frees up. It's an investment in your business. And I think it took me a long time to actually invest in my business, because I wasn't committed to it for a long time. And then another thing is going all in. And that's something that I did do, but I see a lot of people tiptoeing around it because of fear. And really, where energy goes, money flows. And if you have a side hustle, it's always going to be a side hustle. I think it's very difficult, from what I've witnessed from other people, to make that transition from side hustle to full-time gig. And you really just have to jump off the cliff.
Yeah, no, those are great tips. It's funny, because I also kind of share a lot of those tips with my clients, but the problem is, a lot of those you know it consciously, but you still fall into that trap, right? Because when you're starting up, you kind of have to wear all the hats, or you feel like you have to wear all the hats. And a lot of people, I would say, have to learn the hard way. And then they go and...
most people have to, we all have to learn. That's the thing. You can tell somebody something over and over, but most of the time they're not going to do it. I've asked my mom, I've done things my whole life, like my personal life, where she's like, I knew that was going to happen. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? She's like, you had to learn for yourself. If I told you, you wouldn't listen anyways. And it's so true, right? So true. Yeah. You got to learn the hard way, and then it's a good lesson. But
exactly, I'm seeing that with my teenage daughter right now. I have two. So one is that personality where she's very headstrong. She thinks she knows what she's right, and I'm just okay. Fine, no problem. You'll learn.
Yeah, she'll get there, right? I think the main thing is just giving the support. One of the other things is, when I started out, I took on that huge project, and failure just wasn't an option. I have the project, I'm going to figure it out. It's just, there was no other option. I knew no matter what, whether I killed myself doing it, I'd figure it out. I'd get it done. And
Yes.
I think that having that mindset, like whatever it takes,
Yes.
is a huge thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and I
that's
think
important. That's like your comment about the side hustle, right? Is if you always kind of leave a exit path for yourself, you never fully commit and you're not forced to get it done.
exactly. It's like, well, I guess I don't know. Everybody's different, but I work very well under pressure. So when I don't have any other option, then that's that's just it. But yeah, it's so true. Wherever we put energy, that's where things are going to grow. And so it's about priorities and some
Exactly.
sacrifice too, obviously.
Yeah, of course. It's a learning path. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been such valuable tips. Where can people find you if they're looking for your services, and what type of services do you love to do? So you can share a bit of that.
Oh, I just love variety. So I really love the variety. I do residential and commercial, but I have to say, I'd say the majority of my commercial work has been restaurants. I really love restaurants because, like, where else are you going to be able to like paint a crazy mural on the wall or really fun color schemes? Yeah, there's just a lot of room for creativity in that section of design. But really, I love the variety. Residential, I love taking a family's personality or an individual's personality and infusing that into their home. So it's a place that they love. That is the main thing I love about my job is the diversity of clients. And I always design with the client in mind. My portfolio is very vast. Nothing looks the same. Yeah, my website, I'm just getting going on getting that up, but you can find me on Instagram at SPDD_. And as soon as the website's up, I'll post it there and everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time again, Samantha. It was great chatting with you.
Oh, thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for tuning in to my Founder Success Secrets interview. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Samantha Pinksen. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and also share this with your other contacts. If you have questions for Samantha, please leave it in the comments and we'll make sure that she answers that for you. I'm Eric Lee and I can turbocharge your success.